Welcome everybody here, Brady from BGWX, and we are back here for another video breakdown here of the upcoming high-risk severe weather day that is going to have the potential to produce possibly not just multiple, not just several, but potentially lots of violent tornadoes that are, I don't want to say specifically violent, but damaging to violent tornadoes, specifically violent EF4. So I don't think we're going to be, I don't know how many, but it's going to be a significant damaging tornado day along with strong wind and large hail. I apologize for the break. I had a loss in the family, and I also have recently acquired a new pet, a new golden retriever puppy, which if you follow me on social media on X, you can see pictures of him that I posted there. But I did have a loss in the family, and so we've taken some time a little bit from the channel. It's been a little bit quiet too, so but if you're wondering why it's been quiet, that's why on YouTube here. So I still post on X even through some of those stuff. So if you ever curious, you can follow me on X at BradyBGWX. So here's what we got, look what we got going today. We have a high risk in place again, by that quad state border there, by, Arkansas, Missouri into southern Illinois, and to northwestern Tennessee, I guess 5 states around there. So, but, obviously you can see that a very damaging tornado situation is unfolding. What do I mean by that? Meaning there's the potential for lots of damaging tornadoes today, possibly double-digit amount of damaging tornadoes, and they're highlighting a hatched risk area. The Storm Prediction Center is from northern Ohio all the way down into eastern Texas, and even on these volatile days, anywhere that's listed in that tornado risk, you could see a damaging tornado. The 10% hatched risk, and with anywhere within that, is just the higher and higher best probability they think that is to happen. So don't think if you're outside of that area you cannot see a damaging tornado. I've seen it many times before happen. I think in Noonan, the EF4 Noonan tornado was in like a 2 or 5% back in 2020. It's just an example that came to my head, so don't take that for granted. But there's a look at the tornado risk. The wind risk is not a wind-driven high risk, as you can see, or hail is not hail-driven as well for large hail. 30% risk in hatched for large hail, 30% hatched for strong damaging wind. And let's take a look at the environment along with a 30%. That's high risk driven, a tornado driven high risk is the best way to put it. But here's what we have going on here. 500 millibars. You can see our trough ejects tomorrow afternoon. It's really good timing for that, and you can see out ahead of that, H5, you can see closes off here, and as the trough ejects again, becomes pretty progressive eventually, and there could be another bout of severe weather on Thursday again. Just these southwest lows just digging, and these troughs digging across the country, along with this eastern high pressure, is why March was a little bit warmer than even I thought it was going to be. Not necessarily warm, but just it was not as stormy as a potential pattern as it could have been, I think, to potentially get winter storms out of it. But as you can see, continuous troughs ejecting here, out of the southwest here. So there's going to be a good amount of severe weather potential, as we've seen already tonight, with the damaging tornado that we saw in Kansas. That was a scary situation. But as you can see, this is the 500 millibar look we got going on. And let's take a look at some soundings here. So let's get to the NAM, and we're going to go to 3K. We're already at the NAM, but we're going to go to 12K. We're going to go to severe weather. And I don't want to take too long to go into everything, so we're going to go straight to soundings, and we're going to use that instead of looking at the broad scale. We're kind of going to go in depth here and give y'all a look at what we're doing, and we're going to cheat a little bit, use the SIGTOR parameter scale. So bear with me here a little bit. So we're going to just slightly cheat a little bit and we're going to go to the highest areas, and we're going to take a look at some of those soundings here, not contaminated, and take a look. Obviously, that's a pretty volatile environment, as you can see there. Did I choose Sector? I did. Okay, good. I'm just checking, just checking. Yes, they're okay. And you can take a look at this sounding here. This is a pretty impressive sounding. Take a look. Instability, so energy for thunderstorms, basically convective available potential energy, a nearly 3,000, very much good enough. A tiny cap, which actually it may help a potential discrete mode, so that will be curious. The storm mode will define how things play out here, but as you can see in our helicity values, SRH, storm relative helicity values, take a look. Surface to 1 kilometer over 400 in term surface to 1 kilometer over 400, and surface to 3 kilometer value over 550. So extremely high values. You can take a look at those wind shear values too as well. 43 and 62 knots, surface to 1, surface to 3, meaning those are strong wind shear values, supportive for strong damaging tornadoes. And take a look at them. Here's where I'll start drawing in on this sounding here, and this is a dangerous tornado sounding. I believe we pulled out of Arkansas here, and take a look. Here's what stands out here. Take a look at the changing in the direction of winds, and that is not gonna cut it, is it? So we're gonna slide back to the pen. And there we go. Okay, that's better. Not perfect, but it works. And you can see the change in direction that happens here on these winds. And take a look. You see that? The change in direction, and even the surface winds then start to back out of the south-southeast. And this is a vertical column of the atmosphere. So remember this. Imagine this is the top of the atmosphere up here, and this is the surface of the atmosphere. And so this is the winds changing direction. You can see from the atmosphere. You can see these winds changing directions. And so that rotation, that we see, that's what allows that rotation to happen, because it's different levels of the atmosphere. We're seeing changing of the winds, allowing our supercells to rotate, and that is what gives us that potential. And when there's values that we have good instability, we take a look at our moisture, dew points in the 70s and 60s, for high 60s further north, very supportive. Moisture is very important. Moisture, that's there. Instability, that's there. Strong wind shear, that's there. And then when we take a look in terms of values, it's very strong wind shear in these values. In terms of the changing of the winds, there's lots of veering of the winds here. So changing of direction, there's plenty of that. You can see boom, backing right here out of the south-southeast towards the surface. That is very, very supportive. And then what also stands out here, take a look at the hodograph. Anytime we see wavy, spinny hodographs, long, lengthy hodographs here, like we see, oftentimes supportive, for strong tornadoes as well. And take a look at the hazard type suggested, PDS Tor. So, particularly dangerous situation. You see those tornado watches for. And so that is what definitely, starts to concern you here with some of these soundings. And, we'll pull another sounding here. Let's see if we can find one maybe a little bit further north. We'll try our best here. Let's see, where are we going to pick here? We'll try. How about, no, go back one. Go back. No, oh my God, there we go. Right there, let's see. Sorry to cherry pick. Please don't be slightly contaminated. I don't like that's a pretty impressive sounding still, though. Let's see. A little less contaminated, but I don't want any contamination on my soundings. Could not be more contamination. It's basically, let's see. Let's find a different sounding here. I wanted something a little bit different. And so that was an Arkansas sounding we took there. So we'll take, please don't be contaminated. And there we go. All right, so take a look at this sounding here. This is out of, where did we pull this bad boy? Where did we pull this? We pulled this by the western Kentucky, southern Illinois border. And take a look at this sounding here. I mean, this is another impressive sounding. We can see long, lengthy, wavy photographs. Again, spinny too, right? When you see these curved signatures back and forth, kind of simply curving all over the place to get sound so scientific. But when you see that, that is supportive as well for potential tornado. Obviously, hazard type suggesting tornado as well, if that wasn't obvious. And again, a little bit less changing of the winds here from the top of the atmosphere here, especially here in the upper levels around 500 millibars, but you can see still plenty of backing of the surface winds from the southeast. And again, I'm surprised this isn't even a PDS storm. Maybe it's possible wind shear values. I mean, the wind shear values are actually off the charts here. These storm relative helicity values are actually extremely impressive. And I'd argue this sounding is actually even more impressive than the last one. I would make a case. Take a look here. These storm relative helicity values, these are way off the charts. I mean, 750, right? This is a non-contaminated sounding here. You see those bars that were showing up, means that it's contaminated. So it's not necessarily, a good sounding to take, because it's skewed. It's not accurate for depicting for the environment. It's contaminated. And so when we look at Cape, I mean, 2000, plenty of instability there. To the contrary belief, you actually don't need 4,000. Sometimes too much Cape, can help, make the storm mode even messier. And minus 20 sin, that's the cap we look at, minus 20. So there's a little bit of a cap, a small cap, which is actually even more supportive. A little small cap is what we're looking for if we wanted to see, obviously we don't, but if we wanted to see strong tornadoes, that's what we'd be looking for. 69 dew point, that is very solid. So we have good moisture. We have very strong storm relative helicity values. 2000, which is great instability number, very small cap. And we also have these long, wavy photographs, and we have these veering of the winds here. So I would look at this, and it can say what it wants, but the sounding even looks even more dangerous than the last one potentially for damaging tornadoes. And this threat will go on tomorrow p.m. is the timing for this potentially. Overnight tonight, the tornado threat will persist, but the period for the high risk will be tomorrow p.m. into the late afternoon, into the overnight period. And so we'll get back out of this. Where are we looking at again? Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, even into Ohio, northern Mississippi, again, possibly farther northwest Alabama, Texas, southeastern Oklahoma, northern Louisiana, all at risk potentially for damaging tornadoes, strong wind, large hail. So we went a little bit further in depth into some of these soundings here. I want to give you guys some good analysis because it's been a minute, but I appreciate everybody tuning in. Again, I had some, personal stuff that has kept me really busy, but anytime there's a high risk, I'm always going to try to do my best to get out, a breakdown video for, my awesome followers that I have. So I can't thank you guys enough. And until next time, peace.